The base engine of the Grand was a 3.7-liter gasoline V6 with only 210 horsepower. For a 2-ton SUV, this is not a strong enough engine. Most often, this unit was used in Jeeps with a leading rear axle or all-wheel drive, but without a gearbox. The SUV feels much more confident with a 4.7-liter V8 petrol output of 230 to 235 horsepower, the power of which was later increased to 305 horsepower. It is ideal for switching to gas equipment. For the most demanding, there is a 5.7-liter Hemi. The power unit develops 326 horsepower and 500 Newton-meters of torque. It also tolerates the transition to gas well. For Europeans, the Americans have prepared a 3.0 CRD diesel engine from Mercedes-Benz. The diesel V6 delivers 218 horsepower and 510 Newton-meters of torque. Consumption of 10 to 12 L/100 kilometers is considered low. Interestingly, the diesel Grand Cherokee was assembled at Magna Steyr's Austrian plant in Graz. All engines were mated to two types of 5-speed automatic transmissions. Weaker ones, with W5A580, and V8, with 545 RFE. There are few fundamental differences between them, not counting the gear ratios. The Jeep Grand Cherokee line also included a sports version of the SRT8 with a 426 horsepower 6.1-liter Hemi. The car had a completely different character and was intended to compete with those from the AMG, Mercedes, and M-Power, BMW, garage. The Jeep Grand Cherokee, compared to its predecessor, has become much more reliable, but still not exemplary. Unfortunately, the WK wasn't as rugged off-road as the WJ. At least due to the suspension, which is much faster on dirt roads and clearings. The front axle requires more frequent monitoring of the condition of the rubber elements and wheel alignment, and the steering rack acquires play. Attention will be asked and pillows of the front differential. However, the durability of the undercarriage elements during operation on asphalt does not raise any special questions. In order for the Grand Cherokee to be obedient on asphalt, it is necessary to check the condition of the rear suspension more often. Particular attention should be paid to the play of the panhard rod elements. Some problems and troubles are created by electricians and electronics. In particular, the starter and the electronic gas pedal fail. Quite often there are minor malfunctions in the operation of the air conditioner, window drive and heated seats. Sometimes an automatic transmission requires a software update. In versions with V8, the gearbox and automatic transmission torque converter wear out faster. But a lot depends on the operating conditions. Troubles with the transmission include malfunctions of the servos that control the operation of the gearbox and the sensors responsible for blocking. The 3.0 CRD is the world-famous OM642 from Mercedes, which debuted in 2005, replacing the 2.7-liter turbodiesel. However, it should be noted that the Jeep engine is somewhat different from what was used in Mercedes. However, he suffers from the same problems. First of all, these are the short-lived Bosch piezo injectors, which do not always reach 200,000 kilometers. Another sore spot, typical for most modern diesel engines, is the flaps that control the length of the intake manifold channels. When carbon deposits, soot, appear in the intake, the dampers begin to wedge, which leads to failure of the control mechanism. Another weak point is the turbocharger. It either starts to drive oil, or the turbocharger geometry control system fails. A good preventative measure would be periodic dynamic driving, during which the intake tract and turbocharger compressor are cleaned. Leaks from the turbine should be repaired as soon as possible, otherwise oil will settle on the intake manifold flaps and on the flap control drive. A servo in an oil bath dies very quickly. From an economic point of view, restoration repairs are much more expedient, almost 4 times cheaper. Off-road enthusiasts should be wary of deep water. During fording, there is a high risk of engine damage due to water entering the intake tract. In addition, water procedures greatly harm electronics, poorly protected sensors and contacts. The exhaust gas purification system provides a DPF filter of a rather simple design, which, if necessary, can be easily restored, replaced or simply removed. It should be remembered that several interrupted soot-burning processes lead to oil dilution to such an extent that premature engine wear begins. The EGR valve can also cause some problems. With a run of more than 200,000 kilometers, the timing chain may also require attention. In the end, it is worth mentioning the interior. It is assembled from typical American quality materials. Years later, the interior does not look so bad, although the upholstery sometimes needs minor cosmetic repairs. However, 10-year-old specimens seem quite decent. However, the operation of all electrical equipment should be checked. Don't forget to check the bottom too. Over time, in some instances, corrosion appears, which progresses quite quickly. The list of possible engine failures seems intimidating, but in reality there are few complaints from owners. The main thing to understand is that the listed ailments do not necessarily get all at once. In general, operating costs are not much different from competitors, and some spare parts are significantly cheaper than Mitsubishi or Toyota. There are no problems with the choice of substitutes, it all depends on the thickness of your wallet. The car is best serviced in specialized workshops dealing with Jeep. Jeep Grand Cherokee is a good alternative to Japanese competitors. Prado and Pajero will cost much more. However, with frequent off-road trips, the Grand Cherokee will be less durable. Nevertheless, Jeep is a real American legend.